He walked into a police station and confessed to murder. He gave them details only the killer would know. He led them to the body. He was convicted and sent to prison. There was just one problem. He didn't do it. This is the story of Henry Lee Lucas, the man who confessed to over 600 murders he never committed, and how police departments across America let him do it because closing cold cases was more important than finding the truth. (1983), Texas. Henry Lee Lucas was arrested for illegal weapons possession. He was a drifter, a petty criminal with a violent past. During questioning, he confessed to killing his girlfriend and another woman. But then he kept confessing, and confessing, and confessing. Over the next 2 years, Henry Lee Lucas confessed to 600 murders across 27 states. He became known as one of America's most prolific serial killers. Police departments from all over the country sent detectives to interview him. Unsolved cases were finally being closed. Families were getting closure. Lucas was going to death row. Everyone was happy, except for one problem. Henry Lee Lucas was a liar, and the police knew it. Henry Lee Lucas was born in 1936 in Virginia. His childhood was a nightmare. His mother was a prostitute who abused him brutally. She once beat him so badly that he was in a coma for 3 days. She forced him to watch her with clients. She dressed him as a girl and sent him to school to humiliate him. By the time he was a teenager, Lucas had turned to petty crime, alcohol, and violence. In 1960, he got into an argument with his mother. He stabbed her to death. He was convicted of second-degree murder and served 10 years in prison. When he was released, he drifted across America committing small crimes. In 1983, he was arrested in Texas, and that's when the confessions began. At first, Lucas confessed to 2 murders that police could verify. But then detectives noticed something. Lucas loved the attention. He loved being called a serial killer. He loved being taken out of his cell, given hamburgers and milkshakes, and treated like he was important. So he started confessing to every unsolved murder police asked him about, and police departments let him do it. Here's how it worked. A detective would come to Lucas with an unsolved case. They'd show him crime scene photos. They'd tell him details about the victim. Then they'd ask, "Did you kill this person?" And Lucas would say yes. He'd repeat back the details they'd just told him. He'd add some dramatic flourishes, and boom, case closed. Police departments were under pressure to solve cold cases. Families were demanding answers. Budgets were tight, and here was a man willing to confess to everything. Nobody wanted to look too closely. Lucas confessed to murders in states he'd never visited. He confessed to killing people on dates when he was verifiably somewhere else, proven by work records, traffic tickets, and even his own prison records. He described crime scenes incorrectly. He got victim details wrong. But police kept closing cases. One detective who interviewed Lucas said he could tell within minutes that Lucas was lying. His stories didn't make sense. His timelines were impossible. But his department wanted the case closed, so they closed it. Lucas later admitted he'd made up confessions because police wanted to hear it. He said, "I'd tell them what they wanted and they'd give me hamburgers and cigarettes." He became a celebrity in prison. He got fan mail. He was interviewed for documentaries. He enjoyed every minute of it. But then a journalist started digging. Hit the subscribe button right now for weekly criminological stories. Now back to the video. In 1985, a Texas journalist named Hugh Ainsworth started investigating Lucas's confessions. What he found was shocking. Lucas had confessed to a murder in Florida on a date when work records proved he was in Jacksonville, 500 miles away. He'd confessed to murders that happened on dates when he was in jail. He described victims and crime scenes incorrectly, despite police feeding him information. Ainsworth published his findings. Other journalists started investigating. The FBI launched a review. The Lucas Task Force was created to re-examine every confession. Their conclusion: of the 600 confessions, only 3 could be definitively proven. 3. That means over 590 cases had been falsely closed. Hundreds of real killers were still free. Families had been lied to. Justice had been corrupted. Police departments were furious, but not at themselves. They were angry at journalists for exposing them. Many refused to reopen cases. They insisted Lucas was guilty despite the evidence. Lucas himself started recanting confessions. He admitted he'd made up almost everything. He'd made up stories based on details police told him. He'd never even been to some of the states where he'd killed people. But the damage was done. Lucas was convicted of 11 murders, though even some of those convictions were questionable. He was sentenced to death. Then, in 1998, Texas Governor George W. Bush commuted his sentence to life in prison, the only time Bush ever commuted a death sentence as governor. Even Bush didn't believe Lucas had committed the murder he was sentenced to death for. Henry Lee Lucas died in prison in 2001. He was 64 years old. To this day, nobody knows how many people he actually killed. Was it 3? Was it 11? Was it more? What we do know is this: hundreds of murder cases were closed based on lies. Families were told they had justice when they didn't, and real killers walked free because police departments cared more about their clearance rates than finding the truth. The Lucas case exposed a dark truth about American law enforcement. Sometimes the system doesn't want to solve crimes, it just wants to close files. Henry Lee Lucas didn't just lie about murder. He exposed how easy it is to manipulate a system that prioritizes convenience over justice. So the next time you hear about a confession solving a cold case, ask yourself, are they confessing because they did it or because someone wants to believe they did? If this deep dive into false confessions and corrupt investigations disturbed you, hit that subscribe button. Drop a comment. Do you think Lucas killed more than 3 people, or was he just a con artist who gamed the system? Thanks for watching. Stay curious,